Well, we've met and spoken with LGBTQ folks and their families, and we recognize it can be a struggle to care for their children's new identities sometimes. And it can become overwhelming when they also have to deal with addiction or other issues. There's often a lack of information on how to navigate these struggles. And in this episode, we get a chance to consider how parents can support LGBTQ youth when addiction, rejection, or other serious struggles enter the picture. We get to meet Wesley C. Davidson, and she joins us for an honest conversation about LGBTQ youth, addiction, parental support, and the complicated emotions families often carry when a child comes out.
That's right. Drawing from her personal family experience of losing her child to addiction and her work in helping parents understand LGBTQ issues, Wesley explores what parents need to know, how rejection and isolation can affect LGBTQ youth, and why open communication and acceptance matters so deeply.
Yeah.
This is a conversation about LGBTQ parenting, addiction, family support, grief, and the importance of making sure young people do not have to face difficult experiences alone. I hope you'll join us.
Stay tuned.
Yes. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for listening in at the End of Life Conversations. Today, we are honored to meet and talk with Wesley C. Davidson. Wesley is a journalist and co-author of When Your Child is Gay, What You Need to Know. Having lost a 33-year-old son to a drug overdose, she now concentrates her writing on the topic of addiction. She has written about addiction issues for Psychology Today, Ravishly, and MedShadow. All of these will be found in our podcast notes, and you can follow the links to read them there. And she also takes some time and speaks about substance use on her YouTube channel, and that will also be linking in the podcast notes.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the Reverend Joaquil David Matthews, and that was Ana Luisa Armendariz, by the way.
I know. Oops.
Wesley started the Facebook group Kids on Drugs, Signs, Risks, and How to Get Help. And she has blogs, whenyourchildisaddicted.com and Straight Parent, LGBTQkid.com, both found on our website, which we'll link to in the podcast notes. She is a member of the American Society of Journalists and Authors and the Authors Guild, and she and her husband live in Florida. So glad to have you with us today, Wesley.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Welcome. Yes, and we generally start out with our first question to our guests, and we want to know what inspired you to do your work.
Well, what inspired me to do the work was the fact that we lost our son, and we lost him in 2016, which is the year that my book came out, When Your Child is Gay, What You Need to Know.
Wow.
And my son had been sober off and on since middle school. We didn't realize that he was taking vodka from our house and his Adderall, which was prescribed by the school. He had ADD, attention deficit disorder, and it was suggested he take that medication. And we think he was selling his Ritalin at school along with cocaine. Now, we didn't realize that, but his sister, who is 5 years younger, he told her what he was doing. And of course, we weren't privy to that information. So we thought this cleaning crew that had come into our house were the ones that were drinking the vodka, because they would come in with bloodshot eyes. And my husband thought he had outfoxed the cleaning crew by marking off on the vodka label how it was dwindling. but it was actually our son that was taking the vodka to school. So, as I said, Graham started in middle school with, illicit drugs, selling them, using them. There were times when he was sober, and he moved to California 3 different times. And I think he felt more at ease there because he was gay. There was a large gay community. But in that community, there was a lot of crystal meth, stimulants, and of course, he would use those. And when he died, he had been hanging out with people that were using drugs. And I did have a very nice conversation with him in June, which is when my book was published, my book, When Your Child is Gay. And he sounded sober. He sounded good, upbeat. Mom, I'm so proud of you, and this will help a lot of people. And, I hope it makes the bestseller list. Of course, it never did. But anyway, that was a month before he died. And we think the people that he was with, we were on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast, had given him some drugs that he started at the same dose that he was on before, and which is a bad thing to do. And he immediately had a heart attack. And these heartless people, we think, stole his good watch and ran out of the building, leaving his front door open to his apartment.
Wow.
So we came shortly thereafter to pick up the pieces and clean up the mess that was there. And but it's been a journey since then. Really. Yeah.
Well, I am
Yeah.
so sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you.
And what a story to share. Like your bravery can hopefully be a salve to other parents who are also on this same journey.
Yeah.
So appreciate it, and so much courage. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little more about the current work you're doing, the most recent books, or anything that just basically about
Okay.
what you're doing and what.
Well, I started out, I had actually an art history degree from college in New York, but I worked at an art gallery and I would write press releases for them. And this snowballed into other freelance work, which was advertising copy, articles. And when I found out my son was gay, he never told me, but I found out through a letter that I found. And at that point, we were living in the suburbs. If there were other gay students like he, you didn't know about it. It was 1990s. And because he was born in 83. And so I decided that I was going to look at books at Barnes and Nobles. Maybe I'd get some help, advice, what to do. And I couldn't find anything. And what I found were, a couple of sentences alluding to what they called homosexuals. And of course, that diagnosis was taken out of the DSM, the Diagnostic Manual for Psychiatrists, in the 70s. So I thought, well, I can write a book. So I was lucky. I paired up with a psychiatrist who happened to be gay. And we wrote this book together where I interviewed LGBTQ people who had trouble coming to terms with their sexual orientation.
Mhm.
And also, I interviewed parents who it would take them a while to come around to totally accepting their kids.
Yeah.
And then at the end of each chapter, like for example, we had a chapter called Denial. The psychiatrist would give advice.
Mhm.
I might give suggestions, but I'm not a psychiatrist, so I can't give advice.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and we wrote the book, and I think it was helpful. And I think in this day and age, right now, particularly, it's still applicable.
Yeah.
In fact, I was at a gay pride thing a few weeks ago, and I was selling the same book that was written in 2016. Now I am focusing on addiction, and as Dr. David mentioned, I have a blog, which is on wesleydavidson.com. But I am finding a large connection between the gay community and the use of illicit drugs,
Mhm.
substance abuse, really a disproportionate uh, usage. So I'm interested in that. And also, there's so much addiction going on now, as you know.
Yeah.
And, they're finding new drugs every day. And of course, even with marijuana, it's producing psychosis in people that use it every day. And it's 30 times stronger than what they had in the 60s. So um, I'm doing a lot of research. And I'm also trying to find an MD, an addiction MD,
Oh, yeah.
to comment. But right now I'm in the research stage with that,
Okay.
which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
And
We've had others on our podcast. This seems to be a thing where they have some kind of loss and they go looking for something to help and they don't find it. And so they create it. And I love that. Again, this is another example of you taking that on and saying, that I can't
Mhm.
find what I need, so maybe I'll make it. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm finding, at least with my research, I'm finding that addiction is a brain disease. It's
Mm,
not a moral failing.
yeah.
And it does have a high rate of relapse, but it's not impossible to get sober and stay sober.
Mhm.
And I think with our son, um, he was adopted, and he was adopted at age 5 months. We never had medical background on him because it was a closed adoption.
Uh-huh.
And I think because he went from an agency to several foster parents before he came to us permanently, that he may have suffered some trauma there.
A good
Mhm.
chance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
also, he could have had predisposition
Hmm.
for substance abuse. You just don't know if
Yeah.
you don't have any
Mhm.
medical background.
Mhm.
So I think those two things weighed on him.
Sure.
Uh,
Contributed. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it sounds like you're researching your book. It's a new one about addiction. It's kind of like it's a leapfrogging from your son's experience to the first book, and now we're doing the second book. What are the challenges that you're finding as you're doing the second project?
Well, one of the challenges is finding an addiction MD who wants to spend the time
Yeah.
to comment in every chapter. and hopefully do some social media with me, because it's important nowadays to do podcasts, get your name out there, uh, and write articles on the topic, at hand. And so it's important to do that.
Yeah.
And also, you've got to spend the time to do all this. And I don't have other children at home. Graham has a sister who's 5 years younger, who I mentioned. She's married and lives in South Carolina, so I'm not waiting for the school bus every day at 3 o'clock. My time is basically my own. But finding the time, and I try to keep abreast of what's going on in the world. I read 3 newspapers a day, and I'm reading other books on this topic. And I don't want my book just to be a memoir. I want it to be a little bit different with advice in it. And so, uh, I'm busy doing all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
We were just talking
Yeah.
about I wonder about other challenges. Have you had anybody push back on the ideas you brought forward in your book on having a gay child? Has anybody been antagonistic toward you, or toward their work?
No, I think because of the climate now, and the fact that our president is very vocal about, like what constitutes a male and a female. It's what you have on your birth certificate. That upsets especially the trans generation, and all the fuss over bathrooms and, sports and all that. I think the time is very ripe for my book. So as
That's
I
good.
say, it's not going out of style. It's an evergreen, what they call an evergreen book. So
Never story. Yeah. That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Because there are certainly people who we've had experience with who um, just don't want to hear this, don't want to talk about it, don't want to hear about it, don't want to believe there is such a thing. So,
Well, I think in the South, it's more so.
yeah.
We lived outside of New York City for 25 years.
Mm.
So,
So you notice the difference when you're down now that you're in Florida?
well, I think it depends who you're with.
Yeah.
There are people who are, very right wing who would have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In part of your crowd. Yeah. Yeah. So having gone through this with your son and of course doing the research that you're doing and the work, I can imagine other examples came up as you're doing the research and talking to people. Do you have any fear yourself around the end of life, around dying?
I don't. I'm Episcopalian, and I think you go when you're supposed to go. I think with Graham, it was um, obviously awful to die so young.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if he would have turned around and done the work to become sober for a long time. But his sister said something I thought was wise to me. She said, Mom, Graham didn't want to do the work to get sober and stay sober. She's right.
Yeah.
So, but it sometimes distresses me to uh, see kids who are sons or daughters of my friends who I know were doing drugs, even selling drugs, and they have turned around and now are leading productive lives. I wish my son had done that.
Sure.
And it's, when you get Christmas cards with these families that are beaming and, it's hard to see an intact family when you've lost a child, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
much.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I just also want to, I mean, I'd listened to your story and how we don't know what actually happened, right? And in this day and age when, my kids and I carry Narcan and we are training other people to make sure, like, if you see an overdose to like step in and actually help out, we don't know if your son would have gotten sober. And that in that moment just was it got out of hand for somebody somewhere, right? Like you just don't know. And I in my heart, I feel your love for him. And, I hope other mothers out there can continue to love their children in spite of, kind of the choices that they make as they go along in life. And, we hope for the best. We hope for pockets of Narcan for those who are ODing or no more strange
Somebody
drugs we
else.
don't know, you know. So
Somebody
yeah,
care.
it's
Yeah.
we care, we really do. And I'm sure it's just so hard when you're working with so many different levels of identity, right? Like coming out as gay and adopted and there's something else that it's like making me a little uneven. So I appreciate that you're digging deep into this topic because it is not an easy book for you to be writing and people who are experiencing this to probably just jump in and read with you.
Yeah. Well, I hope it will help. And the other thing I have found that uh, I wish people would be more empathetic with parents who have lost kids.
Mhm.
I had a bunch of letters written to my husband and I after Graham died, condolence letters, mass cards, letters. It after that, people were not calling Wesley. How do you feel?
Yeah.
It just dropped.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A few are, still very caring, but for the majority, no. And I think people uh, should learn that it's okay to ask somebody who's
Mhm.
lost a son, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because obviously your life's been changed
Yeah. Uptight. Turned
Mhm.
upside
and
down.
always will be.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was growing up in the 50s, uh, you never asked somebody about cancer, how are you feeling? Or about diabetes.
Mhm.
It was like it was a moral failing.
Yeah.
And I think people feel that if they really ask me how I am, it's going to upset me.
Mhm.
But I think it works in reverse. I think it's
Mhm.
more upsetting not to be asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
I read an article by a woman whose son had died, and she said, "What I would love most is if people would come up and ask me about him, ask me to
mhm.
tell them stories about him, because that
Mhm.
keeps him alive, and that keeps that heart,
yeah.
and so it
Well,
does.
we laugh about things that Graham has said and that because he was very witty and that, that helps and it does keep him alive. Um,
Mhm.
but I do think it's good to talk. I mean, if Graham had died from, let's say, diabetes, they would say, "Oh, that's so terrible."
Mhm.
And
There's a hierarchy of deaths right around your children.
Yeah.
It's a moral failing of how certain children die.
yeah,
And,
Yeah.
it does get reflected on how we continue to support family members who are grieving, and struggling through wanting to stay connected to people, but having this wall, this barrier from people. Like, I don't think the assumption you don't want to talk about it, or the recognition in themselves that they can't handle that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And,
Mm.
but I think that's important. And whenever people ask me, how many children do you have? I always say I have 2. I have my daughter who's married, who lives in South Carolina, and I have a son who died.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that's the truth. I mean, so,
That's right.
and they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss." And that's not that I want to, burden people with my story after I've just met them, but it's awkward.
Yeah.
It is awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
we
let's
talk often on this.
normalize.
Yeah, we talk often on this podcast about how important it is for all of us to be more aware. And, even in that case, if you just met somebody to say, oh, that, besides the thing everybody says, sorry for your loss, to actually say, well, tell me more about that person in your life. And
Yeah.
because that's a different way of coming to it, and a more compassionate and thoughtful way of being with people who had loss. And there's so much loss, so much grief, and you could almost spend all day, every day, asking
Yeah.
people to tell their stories. And that's such a better way of treating this than just shy away. But it's a fear we all have, or a constriction around it, or whatever. So yeah, that's part of what we're doing here. And so I appreciate your story, and letting us have another example of how important it is. So.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Akil, is it my turn or your turn?
I think it's your turn.
And so I'm going to go with how do you, doing this heavy emotional labor of researching and writing and trying to find folks to comment on this research that you're doing, how do you keep yourself feeling capable of showing up the next day to continue this work? How do you resource yourself?
Well, some days are better than others. Like yesterday would have been the day that Graham actually died. And rather than trying to be maudlin about it, I'm a big tennis fan. So I put myself in front of the TV and I watched Wimbledon all day. And it was a way to get out of, not only do I love tennis, but it's a way to get me from thinking of a very sad day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's lots of ways of coping. I love that. That's a good one. I don't think we've heard that one before.
No, I know. It's like, note to self, Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Wimbledon's over. That was the final day, but
yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you. That's a great thing. Well, is there anything you wish we would have asked you that you'd like to share with us before we finish up here?
Well, as I mentioned, I would encourage people to be more empathetic and ask parents how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm on Facebook groups, and some of the things these poor parents have gone on make my tragedy look like nothing. I mean, some of them kids were murdered.
Yeah.
Some committed suicide. We don't think Graham committed suicide. It was an accidental overdose, but no, or car accidents where 2 children died in the family. Not just one. So I think that's important, and I just would like friends and people to be more demonstrative in their caring.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's so important. And of course, there are any addiction MDs out there in our audience. Get a hold of Wesley.
Yes. That's right.
Well, thanks so much. This has been really a wonderful conversation. We really appreciate
Well,
you.
thank you.
Yep. And we've got a poem. We've got 2 poems though, but should we read one of them, both of them? How would you like to
Do you like to read
go
them?
through
Would you
them?
like us to read them?
Well, why don't you read them? Do you mind
Yeah.
doing that? There's
Yeah.
John Donne, that one.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's another one I sent
The
you
Mary
to.
Elizabeth Fry. I'll read
Yes.
the first one and you read the second one.
Yeah.
Is that okay,
Okay.
Wakil?
Yeah.
All right. This is Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep by Mary Elizabeth Fry. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn's rain. When you awakened in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
Ah,
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand, cry.
mm-hmm.
Not there. Oh, that. That's so good. And John Donne says, no man is an island entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor or thine own, or if thine friends were. Each man's diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore send not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for me. Yeah, good
Yeah.
reminder.
I do. I remember that from junior high. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Well,
and your
thank
story.
you. Thank you.
Conversations about the end of life.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Charles Heaston, the composer of the original music you are listening to now.
And of course, thanks to you, our audience, and all of our amazing guests. Please come back next week for another great episode. Share this with your friends, family, and community. We hope you will subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. Each guest's additional information will be found in the podcast notes. And of course, if you have a good end-of-life story to share, please reach out. We are always eager to hear from you.